There you go. We're kicking it in.
Oh.
There we go.
Woo!
Train wreck.
Well, hello. I'm the host for this evening, so I'll say hello. Right. Welcome to the Northeast Ham Radio monthly live stream. This month, you get me. I'm your host, Paul, with the new call, N1 OG.
Ooh, and a rhyme or two. Are you going to break out?
Very nice.
That's about as good as my rhymes get. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad that everybody can join us. This month we're talking all things Eclipse and ham radio related. For those that got to be in the path of totality, I look forward to hearing your stories because I know I got some. So thank you to all the live viewers and hello to everyone in the chat. Eric, let's start with some introductions.
Well, I'm Eric, call sign N1JUR, and I've got a lot to talk about. I mean, Paul, I might have to cross a lot with Todd there because him and I did a live stream during the Eclipse part of it. But overall, looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say because I know we played a lot of radio and struggled, but all good.
All right, Todd, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Todd W1STJ. Yeah, Eric and I were out and had a good time. A little bit of issues, but we'll talk about that later.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Izzo.
I did nothing. I had to work. No, I had fun. I still had fun, and I had fun watching everybody. It really was. So I'm Don, W1FYG here in the state of Connecticut, and I just love to play field radio. I don't care if it's winter field day, ARL field day, parks on the air, sit on my back porch, go down to the beach, go up to the mountains. I don't care. I'm having fun, and that's all I want to do. Just doing the F word, fun. So
that's my favorite F word.
That's my second favorite F word. Oh wait, I forgot. This is not coffee and ham radio, so we can't get crazy on here.
Yeah, we don't have the dumpster fire on our Discord yet, so we'll work on it.
We're working on it.
All right, Rob, introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm Rob N1NUG. So for the Eclipse, I went to Woodsville, New Hampshire, where my sister has a little house, and we were at 99.7%. So not quite totality, but I guess close enough. We thought about driving a little bit further to get to totality, but then we realized we had a kitchen and a bathroom and a yard and whatever. So that's where we hung out. So I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video.
Awesome. Matt.
Hey everyone, Matt N3BAN. Yeah, the Eclipse Parks on the Air activation was great. I got Todd and Eric on the radio, so that was good to get contacts on there. So took my daughter out of school, drove up, and did some ham radio with her. She filmed a bit, actually a lot more than I did, and didn't make the cut because everyone would be seasick, but had a great time and talked more about how activation went and what happened when I had a pileup. And then everyone disappeared during our 92.8% totality that we had.
Was that including cloud cover?
Yeah. Well, with the cloud cover, it was more like 98%.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Marvin.
Hey guys, thanks. I appreciate it. For the Eclipse, I was at home. I was working most of the day, but we in Western Massachusetts, it got to be probably a 70-80%. Yeah, maybe even 65 to 75%. Kind of got cloudy, got hazy, and kind of gray here, but wasn't nothing too significant. Unfortunately, all my HF stuff was down because we were cutting a bunch of trees, and the trees literally would have fell right on the infed half wave. So I had to take all that down before the Eclipse. I didn't get it back up until yesterday, so I didn't really get to do anything for HF operations during that time either, unfortunately. But I did get to go out and see it. It was pretty interesting to see and watch a lot of other good news feeds and other ham radio channels talking about it. So it's been good. So
nice. Well, I myself went to Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. A friend of my wife's works for Homeland Security, and she got a house on 50 acres, and it was sitting up on a hill in the total path of totality. So yeah, it was awesome.
You got a front row seat.
So before we get super rolling here into stories, I just want to clear the air on one thing. I heard a lot of people talking about this eclipse and how it wasn't a big deal because these eclipses happen all the time. Well, let me say that yes, the eclipses do happen approximately every 18 months. However, total eclipses over where you are does not happen very often. And the last one that the continental United States got to experience one before 2017 was 1918. And the next one that we'll get to see, now it's excluding the southern states that are going to get it in 2043. But the rest of us got to wait until, hold on, I got it written down here, 2044. And that's the southern one, right? But for the northern part, right, 2079, we're all going to be dead by the time the next one rolls around.
My daughter will be doing ham radio activating.
Yeah, I remember when I did this with my dad back in 24.
Yeah.
Just put my ashes in front of the microphone. That's all we're going to do.
So 100%, this was a big deal. And I'm glad that those of you got to see it.
Yes. I'd have to say, even though I wasn't in the total path of totality or whatever you want to call it, we still had a pretty good, shot at it. And, actually I was like Izzo said earlier offline, it was kind of like a little eerie feeling when it all hit and it was kind of crazy, but it was, good to experience because the last one I think I sort of remembered was when I was like 12 years old. And so that was like a long time ago and that wasn't like, at that point I was like, whatever, I'm going to go back to playing my video games. And so really didn't appreciate it.
But that would have been an annular eclipse and not a total.
Yeah, probably. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because otherwise 1918, I still probably would have been driving around in my wagon with my family and, crossing the prairie.
Now, there was a bunch of things going on for the eclipse ham radio wise, right? So the solar eclipse QSO party was one. So who took part in the solar eclipse QSO party and how many contacts did you get?
I made 4 or 5 contacts. I wasn't participating myself, but I worked a few of those stations on sideband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what, Todd, between you and I think we had like maybe 2. I think, but most people are like, you might also want your grid square. Here's my grid square. I'm like, well, POTA's already telling me what your grid square is, so it's like I really don't need it. But sure, give it to me anyway.
Hey guys, just curious, what bands and what states were they in that you were working
So we were on 20 and 40. We set up 2 antennas. We started on 20, and then it just, as the Eclipse started, it really died. And we switched over to 40, and then we can talk about what happened after that. But yeah, 20 and 40 is what we basically started on. We only had 2 antennas, and like I said, 20 was weird because we were doing great, and then it just went flat. It was like, flatlined. So we switched over to 40. We had a splitter, so we could just switch it back and forth. And we did 40 for a bit, and then that died, and we went back to 20.
Now, did the noise floor go up, or did it just get like quiet, like somebody pulled the coax?
Yeah, it was like 20. It was like they pulled the coax. I mean, it went flatline, like we weren't seeing anything. And then as we were watching, we were on a DX10, so we were watching the waterfall, and we'd start seeing little blips, and then we're like, all right, it's coming back. It's coming back.
Coming back. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I was on 20 up until the just before totality, and then I switched to 40 as well. But so in the totality zone, I think it was a little bit more noticeable. But 100%, like 20 went real quiet, and so you were only picking out the stations then that were previously coming in like 10 over, right? Everybody else just disappeared.
What do you guys think? The guys with the big antennas, the Yagis, the amplifiers, not just 100 watts and less, or 100 watts in a wire, as we say. What do you think?
I don't think so, because I got a bunch of POTA stations in Indiana, and so they were just running 100 watts in a wire. But for whatever reason, Indiana to New Hampshire was like it was like a tunnel.
Yeah.
We had some good Indiana stations, but one of the things that I noticed was when you looked at the map on hammers where you made the contacts, like our contacts looked like it followed the Eclipse pass.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was kind of weird. Like after I looked at it, I'm like, that's exactly where the Eclipse was happening. Like that, because we didn't get any DX or anything, but just that whole area. And then like once we were on 40, we basically just got the Northeast. But when you look at when we started on 20, it was just the whole path. I mean, it was pretty remarkable. I think one of them that was out of it was like Texas. That was like an off flyer, but everything else was right in the path coming up.
Yeah, I got the QSO map here. Let me just share it real quick and kind of get an idea of what obviously where the curve was in terms of the Eclipse. You can see just like this is all mix of 20 and 40, but most of it's 20, and we never got anything west of the Mississippi and nothing DX at all. I mean, it was just like all clustered right where the edge of the Eclipse path was. So it was kind of crazy to see.
Paul, if you don't mind, I have an observation. Because we're from the Northeast here, and all of us here, the 7 of us have at some various levels. We've been playing POTA, whatever, field day, winter field day. Let's just classify it as field radio, okay? I think by now we have seen trends. If you were doing this, cycle 24 to where it was on the down, boom, that sine wave comes down, 24 went flat. Now we're on the upscale, right? We've learned where 20 meters at 11 o'clock in the morning versus 3 o'clock versus 7. Same with 40. We kind of start seeing trends. What I find very interesting from you guys is how, just like what Todd said, like almost that, because west of the Mississippi sometimes can get real challenging for us.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, Wisconsin, Montana have been really coming in good for me. Is it just a stroke of luck of where I've been, where I'm orienting my antenna, or is it just how it is now? That's why I think it's important from a ham radio perspective, even if you just listen, not even for scientific facts, just for discussion, like what we're doing here as men just hanging out. I find it very interesting. I find it really, really interesting based upon the various bands of where the RF signals exchange was, almost as if it was a Hollywood movie, a Steven Spielberg or a Stranger Things or whatever you want to call it, whatever your science epic is, and just kind of taking it, and just running with it. The artists were just following that path,
It's amazing the impact of the sun on our atmosphere, and really, like, with this current solar cycle, I've been really throwing myself into the solar stuff, and it's truly fascinating. There's some speculation from some scientists that we're actually going to peak early instead of peaking in the middle of next summer. We're going to actually peak here in a month or so. I don't know necessarily how true that is, but I can definitely say that based on the solar flares and the coronal mass ejections that we've been getting over the last month, like it's definitely ramping up quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to give in anytime soon, especially with a lot of the predictions. But
was anybody monitoring the sunspot numbers and as well as the SFI and the wind speed? Because I do that. I just want, not that it's going to stop me, but did any of you guys just happen to look at the numbers and you write it down anywhere in a log saying, hey, at 50%, this is where, or were you guys just busy playing radio?
Funny you mentioned that, because I kind of cursory looked at it before on top of the typical, like, let's check the weather, make sure we're not going to get rained out or whatever. And the numbers just kind of felt like they were just normal. But again, that was way before, that was like mid-morning of that day. So I didn't really think it was going to drastically change, but I never bothered to really look in the middle of while everything was kind of happening, whether we'd see a drop or anything. We were kind of dealing with a whole bunch of other mother nature type stuff around us to kind of be thrown off a bit while it was all happening. But
and our visitor too.
And our live visitors. But yeah.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Do you work for NASA? Do you work for NOAA?
Yeah. We had a guy, right? He comes up, he plops down his chair, like literally right next to me. Hey, can I borrow those glasses? So like the whole time he's asking. Then he's on his phone, and we're working stations, and he's like, hey, yeah, I'm with these guys, ham radio, we're doing this, they're talking to people, you got to get down here, I mean, he's like having this full-fledged conversation, and we're like, CQ Parks on the air, and
he wants to hang out with the rock stars. He was your groupie. Yeah. That's your groupie, man.
Yeah, groupie.
You wanted in on the live stream
video. Then I'm getting text from Ryan saying, who's the guy next to you? What's he saying? So the live stream was it up, his whole conversation. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Catch it on team replay.
Yeah, I caught that in some of your video. It was pretty funny, no doubt. So
oh yeah, I mean he was a character for sure. I mean, he had us on speakerphone. That was the worst part. Yeah. It's like he's yelling at his phone while we're on the radio. It's just like he can hear it.
His buddy talked to him. It was just nuts. And then he just got up and he was, it's over. I'll see you. And he just walked away.
I'll never see him again.
You made his day. Think of it. Hey, listen. You made his day. You made his day.
10 years later, Todd, we're going to see him at a club meeting someday.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go. He's going to put that on his application. Why he got it, why he wants to join the club. Because this guy, I don't know his name, was sitting there.
Two bald guys were sitting there on lawn chairs, playing to radio. That's what attracted me to it. The bald guys.
They were nice to me. They were nice to me. And they said, you should get a ham radio license, when you really didn't say that. You're like, get the hell out of here.
He probably went back to his family and said, hey, look at me. I'm on YouTube. I'm right there in the video.
I'm sure he did, because we had told him, he's like, because I was talking to the camera right next to the camera. He's like, what's he doing over there? And I was like, we're on a live stream right now. He's like, I'm on YouTube. I'm like, oh no.
His friend, he goes, I'm on YouTube right now.
Yeah. Hey, what if it went the other way? What if he was downplaying it all, but he was this big YouTuber with like
I don't think so, but
million subscribers, and he just wanted to be normal. And
it was Mr. Beast in disguise or something.
Yeah, disguise.
Be nice to him or something, right?
We could only hope. Where's my $100,000?
Yeah, right.
All right.
We got one more.
Now, so I got a question for Matt. So I know you brought your young one out. I brought my 13-year-old son out. This being such an important event that they're probably really only going to get to see once in their lifetime, as well as ours. How did your daughter receive the event?
She loved it. She had lots of fun. Besides getting a little chilly with the cloud cover that came in, she would film me with the GoPro and all different orientations. She was moving that thing around, then get up, put the glasses on, go up and look and go, I see a sliver. So she had a lot more fun because with the school, they were letting out of school at the same time that the eclipse was happening. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Because they were supposed to tell the kids, now don't look up. And they were like supposedly hovering over them. But apparently there was not many people on the bus. Look, teacher, oh, my eyes.
Get into a half a day. You figure they would at least done a half a day for the kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, our town did a half a day. So our town recently purchased a failing golf course, and so we use it. They're going to be building like sports fields and stuff. So it's half owned by the conservation committee and half owned by the rec department. So they basically had a whole thing for everyone to go down to this golf course. And so my wife and kids were down there, and they're having a fun time running around, looking at it. They had ice cream, food. So our town did it right. The kids were happy. They're like, oh, we get a half day. It's the eclipse. And they didn't care about the eclipse as much as they had a half day. So...
yeah, she had
Yeah,
a
my
blast.
son had the whole week off, so it just worked out. Yeah, it was spring vacation for them.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they give the eclipse a week off. Wow. What are you teaching kids down there in Connecticut?
Kids,
but
kids
yeah,
these days
called
got
and
it
called and
easy.
headed north.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
Did you take your kids, Rob?
Yeah, I just have one son. He's 12, and my sister has a place in Woodsville, New Hampshire, so northern New Hampshire, and we went up there. We went up Sunday and spent the night, and in the morning we went out and did a POTA park. I don't know, maybe about 10 or 15 miles away from where her place is, and then just before the eclipse started, we headed back and watched it from her place. So we were only at but we were 99.7% totality where she was, and we got some of the effects of the total eclipse for about 30 seconds. So it was cool, but hindsight, we probably should have went north 20 or 30 miles.
Certainly night and day, just the difference, like from where you were to where I was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you were what, maybe 40, 50 miles north?
Yeah, roughly.
Something like that, yeah.
Would anybody else bring their kids out?
No, mine were in college and the other one was sleeping. So couldn't help you much in that department.
She was
Really
sleeping
exciting.
through the eclipse. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
college.
a long gaming night.
Hey, Eric, my daughter is up at University of Connecticut, and I think they canceled their afternoon classes or whatever that portion was, because UConn has these rolling fields where all the cows are and their famous ice cream. And my daughter's texting me. She's like, Dad, you're not going to believe this. This place is packed. And I said, like Woodstock? And she said, yes. Now, she doesn't know what Woodstock is,
Yes.
nor do I. When Woodstock occurred, I think I was like 5 years old. But she's like, Dad, it's blanket to blanket. And, of course, some kids are being stupid. But overall, she said, it's just a sea of people and glasses and us. Just so, and I pictured other universities and colleges all over the place, just probably doing the same thing too. So,
yeah, the other thing I can chime in is my son's plays for Johnson Wales baseball team, and they had a game that like right in the middle of the cliff. So I don't know if they all stopped to watch, being in Rhode Island and whatnot, but I'm hoping they weren't all dumb, exactly like Paul looking up.
It's a fly ball.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All the guys on the center field and right and left are like, I don't want to look up.
can you imagine the coaches? That's not an error. That's not an error. Then he
Right.
dropped the ball. He was looking up. It's not an error. I'm going to fight you.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
I had my son do data collection. Because I
made him work.
well, so I pulled him out of regular school and I'm homeschooling, and it just happened to coincide the science module that he's doing is on the solar system, and so I was like, this is perfect. So he took temperature readings in the sun and in the shade, through the whole beginning and then through totality. And I'll tell you, the kid was so excited. During totality, he checked the temp and he goes, "Oh my God, Dad, it's 52 in the shade and it's 52 in the sun."
Oh, I love it. I love
That's
that.
awesome.
That's cool. That's
How old is he?
He's 13.
Oh,
awesome.
perfect.
Good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Well, you know,
He's
talking about
finishing in 8th grade.
America.
yeah, Eric and I were talking about it. Like, I wonder if it was pretty hot. Like, it was warm. We just had like 2 feet of snow and it all melted. And we were like kind of joking, like, yeah, you know, a week ago we were in, you know, blizzard, and
The
now
same
it's
as Far
like,
Easter we had. Yeah.
yeah, and now we're in like we're in t-shirts, right? So we were like kind of it was comfortable but warm for up here, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I wonder if it's going to get cold. And as it started going on, like all of a sudden we're like, wow, it is definitely getting colder. We had to put the long sleeve shirt back on. I'm like, that's crazy. And then we got infested by mosquitoes. So when the eclipse went, like when we were like at the highest we were going to be, every mosquito came out. Like, it was crazy. The peepers were beeping, the birds were chirping, but the mosquitoes, I'm like, because normally, like, I have this little, like, both Eric and I have these little machine things. You plug in a cartridge and it kills the mosquito, and it works really well. So like POTA in the summer, I just sit that next to the table.
I had that
and
too, yes,
right, and it keeps them all away.
Right.
Like, we didn't even think to charge them or use them. Like, we're like, it's April, we're not gonna have this problem. But yeah, man, it was nuts.
Oh, dude, they could have carried us away. It was bad.
It was really bad.
That was probably one of the biggest things I noticed was that temperature drop from when it was like nice, and then it really started as I was watching it on my geochron. I started to see it coming across the country. I was like, "Oh, he's going to get close. I'm going to step outside," and that temperature just, even as I stood outside longer watching it, that temperature just really dropped significantly. I was really surprised how much it made a difference. It's like, man, I almost need to put a sweatshirt on or something, from how it was nice that you were out in a t-shirt, and I was like, man, it got kind of cool, but it wasn't, it wasn't terrible overall, but it was kind of surprising how much it dropped out. I wasn't expecting that much for, like I said, in my area where we had probably 65 to 75%, it was still quite daylight. It just got more of like a kind of an early dusk is kind of the way it was. And, I was kind of surprised by that. I was expecting maybe a little bit more darkness everywhere, but I knew I'm over on that western Massachusetts side as well, so we were still quite a ways from the the total darkness area.
Yeah, ours got to be like, it was like what, early dusk too. It wasn't too. It was definitely a difference. It was funny because I was after we did that, I had a baseball practice, and it went until like, I don't know, 7 o'clock, but around like 6:30, I was like, yep, this is what it was like during the eclipse. It's like deja vu, just at a different spot.
I know. Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like it was weird for me. Like Izzo was talking a little earlier about like that eerie feeling, like right when it got to totality, it like kind of felt like it was like mist, and you were like, what, like what's this like haze? It wasn't like a hot humidity kind of look, but it felt like it was, and it was just like I couldn't put my finger on it. I just ended up was like kind of taking it all in at the side, while it was all happening, and still trying to stay focused on whether or not 40 was actually going to come back for us.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We had the radio going in the yard, and I was making a few contacts, mostly on 40. I think it worked you guys.
Yep.
We made 4 or 5 contacts, but we were, we had other family and stuff there, so we were kind of like, looking around and checking things out and stuff. And then right when it got towards the end, the sky got really dark blue and weird colors and stuff. So we were more focused on that than the radio at that point, honestly. But yeah, it was pretty neat.
Now, like Rob, did you have the same experience? Like when we were conversing in our QSO, I felt like literally we were like on a repeater because there was like no noise, no, you couldn't hear any of the background hiss. There's no hash, nothing. It was just like literally like you and I were like on a GMRS radio, like a foot and a half away. That was my feeling. The same thing for you?
Yeah, you guys were pretty strong. I mean, the background noise up there is pretty quiet in the first place, because there's not a lot going on up there. But yeah, it was 40 was really good because I had used it earlier in the day, a few hours earlier in the day, and it was normal, no little bit of background noise, that kind of a thing. Signals were S5, S7, whatever. But yeah, when I worked you guys, and it was maybe 20 minutes before totality or something like that. Yeah, it was it was no background noise, and you guys were like you were right next to me.
Yeah, the stations we worked in New England were pretty strong, like real strong. I would say even stronger than normal.
Yeah.
Normally, sometimes, with being so close, it doesn't come in as good. But yeah, we were getting people in like we were just talking now. So that was maybe that was a difference. Maybe it wasn't. But yeah, you came in like really, like you were booming in, like you were 5'9", 20 plus, like no doubt.
Yeah,
It was like we were next to each other.
Mm.
Now, we were, 100 miles apart or something?
About, yeah. I mean, yeah, we weren't that far apart. We were in Nashua, so yeah, I'd say about no more than 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you guys, Cycle Camp said, do you any panel see the 5 planets during totality? I didn't.
No,
it didn't get dark enough for us to see the planets. I mean, the sky went really dark blue, but at 99.7%, we were still somewhat light. So I didn't see it. Cycle Camp, did you see them? I know we talked earlier today, but did you see that where you were?
Yeah, I'd be curious about that too, because so where I was at, we had totality, and actually one of the few like good bits of footage that I had was, the kind of 360 sunrise effect during totality, and you could actually see in the footage some of the stars. They might have been the planets, but I didn't have my app up to show me what it was.
Now, what about that? There was not an asteroid. What was the comet?
Oh,
there was
comet.
Comet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. I didn't even think that was coming about, but I guess there was a couple of pictures out there that I saw, and you guys had posted on Clubhouse last time when you guys talked about it. So I was curious.
Yeah, I only saw sunspots on the sun. That's about it. Nothing else.
Yeah,
Matt,
we thought we saw those too.
Matt, from the PA side, Pat. Now, where in PA were you in relationship to that?
Pat? We were more near the New Jersey border. I was about 40 miles from where that earthquake was in New Jersey. So I was pretty close to the border there, right off of Route 33 at Jacobsburg Environmental Center. And we were only like 92.8% totality where I was. A lot more cloud cover than totality.
Paul, how long was it dark in Pittsburgh when it went through?
So it was just shy of 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. So one of my friends, he has got a camp up in like northern Maine, and he's got like the cameras on it, and he said he was watching it like because they're in total. He's just watching like the cameras, and he says nothing really happened. I didn't really notice it get dark. He goes, and all of a sudden it just went black. And then it came back, and he's like, because it's the weirdest thing. He goes, because I guess the cameras, like the Ring cameras or whatever, adjust for darkness, right? But if it goes when it hits and it just goes black, it didn't have time to adjust. He goes, and then it just came back. He goes, it was really weird. So, but I've seen some videos of like time lapse where it kind of went, light, dark, and then it was like nighttime, and then it kind of popped back again. So, but that was all done on fast speed, so I just didn't know how long it was dark for.
Yeah, it was about like 3 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that.
That's awesome.
Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us.
Paul,
I think it's Paul number 2 is your mic's missing there. I want to check that one or mute. the night of technical difficulties.
Okay,
right.
There we go.
I was on the wrong camera. I didn't know there was 2 choices in this thing. It never bothered me before, and I couldn't figure it out. So I got out, got back in, and now it's working. So
cool. Well, thanks for joining. Awesome.
So I guess talking about the Eclipse. Do you want to tell me what I was doing, or?
Yeah.
I was at work, and I work right next to this garage door, and it was, as it was warm, and so we had the garage door open. It's kind of like where I hang out in this parts room, and so when I started to go when the Eclipse started, I put my glasses on, and it was like right out. It was like 6 feet away from me. I just had to walk over and look up, and there it was. And I check it out from time to time while I was working, and then when I went to totality, we all just stood in the parking lot. There's about 4 of us just stood in the parking lot staring at it. It was awesome. I heard about the mosquitoes from multiple people, and we did not have that problem, but I was on a parking lot. And we could hear the birds getting a little anxious. There's a doggy daycare near us, and we didn't hear the dog. So I don't know if the wind was not blowing in the right direction or if they put the dogs inside, but the dogs got real quiet.
Oh, yeah.
And a spotlight over my head came on. That was kind of interesting. And yeah, when I was at full totality, that was great.
Now, how far up in Vermont are you?
Near Burlington, so I'm pretty far up.
Oh, okay. So you got totality up there then, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. We got like 3.5 minutes.
Awesome.
STJ, where are you?
I'm in Amherst, New Hampshire. So we were Eric and I did a POTA activation in southern New Hampshire at the Nashville Rail Trail. So we were right next to a pond and kind of in the woods next to a parking lot. And yeah, as soon as all of a sudden, like the mosquitoes just came like in a swarm. They were all over my ankles, my arms, like they were everywhere. We're like, what is going on here? So we got it pretty good. I mean, we're kind of in the woods, but just off a neighborhood. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like we were deep in the woods. We were local.
I was in a club meeting on Tuesday, and we were talking about the eclipse, same thing. And there were about 5 of us in the room and about 3 of us on Zoom. And one of the guys on Zoom did a POTA activation all day at Crystal Lake. And I didn't know the guy, so I don't have his call memorized, but he was at Crystal Lake. And he said there was still snow on the ground up there. And people are up there walking around in sandals.
Yeah.
That's normal for Vermont, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I didn't have snow in Burlington because it had warmed up. And, we got that heavy snowfall on Thursday. And so by Monday, it was gone where I was.
Yeah, same with us.
But he saw this guy walking around in sandals. He said, "What do you do walking around in sandals?" He goes, "I came up from Connecticut. I didn't think there'd be any more snow left up here." But yeah, he activated this park, Crystal Lake. That's a beautiful lake up there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because so I went up Friday, and so in Pittsburgh it snowed Friday and Saturday, and then on Sunday it just warmed up and it was almost 60. And all the snow was gone.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same around here. I mean, we got hit with more than what I wanted, but yeah, I was glad it was gone because I was like, I'm not POTAing off of this. Sorry, this is where I draw my line.
Yeah, there was no snow in Woodsville except for maybe a few snowbanks left over, but it had all melted.
Hey guys, I'm not superstitious. I'm not a superstitious guy. The only thing I do is when I'm pumping gas, I never pump 13 gallons. I either pump 12 or I go over 13. Other than that, I am not really superstitious. But because of the nor'easter we had, and for us down here on the Connecticut shoreline, I'm in between New Haven and the Rhode Island border. I am literally on the water here. And it was rocking, and I have a whole history of, emergency management, storm chasing. I respect weather. This one, I said, I'm not saying I let my guard down, but I really did. Listen, I didn't go buy all the eggs and the bread and have French toast later and all that other stuff. But I knew I had enough provisions in the house to ride through this thing, right? But I'm looking at the projections from what we're going to get to where everything from up to Canada, everything from, from Matt, in that sliver of PA, New Jersey, to all up to where you guys are, right? And then all of a sudden, then we get the earthquake, that massive. And again, listen, I'm not going to compare myself to California and other parts around the country. And then I'm like, wait a minute, now we got this eclipse coming. Is this going to be like the big hat trick of what's nature going to show us? Like, hold my beer, I got one more for you. And and she gave us something beautiful in my mind. In my opinion, she gave us something to really appreciate a phenomenon that we just have no control over, just like anything else. And I think the predictions for this was a little bit easier than the weather, because as you know, weather can change literally and for a variety of factors, but the path still stayed the same. But like I said, just from a phenomenon of a hat trick, here, what could potentially happen? My boss at work we were like, should we hire another person? And they usually don't even go that far. Sometimes we have to beg. You know, and matter of fact, the running joke in our place is I said, well, are you going to at least buy us lunch? And he
Yeah,
said, now normally he would, every once in a while he would, in all fair, but he says he comes back an hour later and he's handing out the glasses.
Mhm.
And I said, what'd you do that for? He says, I don't want the liability of you guys going outside looking at this and being a workman's compensation case. It's a lot safer if I give you glasses. I said, but you didn't pay for them. We would have took the lunch.
Hey, Izzo, I only got one answer to that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
What did she say?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, I have a question for you. It sounds like several of you guys traveled to different locations, and I was traveling from Friday afternoon from Wisconsin all the way through Sunday afternoon to Western Mass here. And I saw a lot of traffic going, kind of coming eastbound during that time. And I suspect a lot of those people who were traveling with the hotels and stuff were packed along that way. On your traveling back on Monday, or when you're out and about and you're maybe heading home, whatever from that, did you guys see a lot of traffic and issues surrounding that, or see other traffic heading to those Pacific total, blackout areas as well?
Yeah, so I
had a lot of traffic. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh yeah, I traveled to sort of northern New Hampshire from Connecticut on Sunday, and the traffic was a little heavier than normal, but it wasn't bad.
Was that on the way back? Yeah, that was on the way up. Okay.
That was on the way up. Coming home on Monday afternoon, I had to get home because I had to work Tuesday. It was heavy but moving until we got to southern Vermont. There was an accident, and I had to get off of 91 and kind of go around. But what I'll say about it is that I'm used to traffic like that. I travel to Boston twice a week. So for me, that's normal. But for northern New England, that's not normal. They weren't used to it and all those cars and stuff. But from my observation, it was heavy but moving. It wasn't a big deal. But like I said, I'm used to it. So
the locals were probably like, "Good, we got your money. Thank you for helping us. Now get the hell out of here." Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we bought groceries at Walmart. We filled up the gas at the gas station, everything. So it was great for them.
Hey Paul, didn't they say there was like 50,000 people heading up north and like into Pittsburgh, and they didn't have enough porta potties? They were all freaking out, like they weren't going to be able to survive because Pittsburgh probably has a population of what, like 1,000, if that.
Yeah, something like that. It's small.
Oh. Yeah,
Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. Sorry. Yeah. So they had the National Guard out. They had excess state police and sheriffs, and I mean, you name it. Anybody and everybody was there. The ATF was there. Homeland Security was up there. But the funny thing about the traffic is I was smart, and me and my family stayed. We came home on Tuesday. Everybody that was north of the Notch and drove 93 south,
right?
They were in traffic until 4 a.m. to get through the Notch.
Wow.
Hey guys,
4
imagine
a.m.
So we're talking ham radio statistics. Somebody from the Department of Transportation is looking at all those the over the highway toll collections, and every time every time a car went off, that's a cash register going off of. Everyone, the state's made revenue one way or another. Let's face it. Exactly. Take my money.
Yeah.
Nice, Eric.
Yeah. A freaking Easy Pass was going off because I know that's why I carry my Easy Pass. I'm not stopping. Nobody stops anymore. I don't think.
If you live on the East Coast, you have to have Easy Pass. Come on.
Yeah.
So, hey, real quick, I want to just do my daughter and her boyfriend, Milana and Quincy, are watching this, so this could be a first. We might actually get her into ham radio. So I hope that they're enjoying this, and I hope maybe they'll come hang out with us on a POTA activation, and we'll get another two young hams in high school.
Now you've embarrassed them, Todd. Good job.
That'd be a good video, man. Good video.
Hey, my mom was on there too. If you saw her, she was talking about the turkeys. She's an animal lover, so of course.
Oh, that was her. That was cool, man. I thought that was
cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, where they roosted early, 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Now, so is the rumor true? Because I heard different stories that a lot of the Tesla about it, the electric car owners, especially on the way back on 93, they couldn't find enough charging stations at the charging stations are like the gas crisis in 74. Anybody hear that?
I heard that up here in Vermont. Yeah, there was 6 hour wait.
We could have made some money bringing up some generators.
Yeah, generators on the side of the road.
Right? Just filling them up. That would have been some.
I'll sell you my
1650 a volt. There we go.
I'm going to sell you my Bio-NO battery with power poles. That's why all you Tesla people, you should be power poling your Teslas. Make
it easy.
Make it easy.
Yes.
Helping ham radio.
That's right.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Now, my sponsor would have made a ton of money for Dakota Lithium at that point, So,
you'd be running out. It'd be like selling balloons at a festival.
Exactly.
I don't want your gasoline generator. It has to be propane. I don't want that.
Fine, whatever. Just I'll slap the propane sticker on the side. All the same.
Clean propane.
Fine. I'll sell you the what's those solar panels that retract the ones that you guys
power film.
Power films. That's what you need. Put power films on top of that Tesla. There you go, folks.
I know you think some of them would have caught onto that strategy and made it easy for themselves, but
the overlanders are. Hey, listen, the overlander guys. I've seen that. With all the overland shows that have been gaining a lot of attention. Those guys are very ingenious. Again, needs, wants, necessities, and listen. The more rugged it looks, the better it is. Let's face it. You know what I mean? And it has true functionality too. That's the beauty of it all. So
manly status, love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, curious to see anybody play any digital modes at all.
I put my radio on FT8 and on 40 meters and left the room, so that it was just uploading to PSK report all day.
I can't hear that. You left it unattended?
No, I was not transmitting. I was just relaying everything that I saw, so that during the eclipse, people who study that stuff that can download. I don't know how to download the metadata of that, but there's people who download the metadata and study it. And so I figured I'll just leave it running on 40 meters, and they could see what the change was during the eclipse. I never got to check it out, but that was. And,
well, so.
And I had a friend that was trying to do the QSO party, and he said everybody he contacted, nobody knew what was going on, and half the people didn't know their grid square.
No, Paul, with you collecting all that data, did you submit the Gladstone report?
No, and I might not be aware of what that is. I just figure I'll leave it running and people can study it, but I'm not sure what the Gladstone report is.
Well, all right. I'll copy the link and I'll put it in the chat for everybody. But anybody that collected any type of digital data, whether it was Whisper, FT8, FT4, I believe there's a couple other modes as well. The Gladstone research part of HamSci there. They all you got to do is fill out a little Google Doc, with your call sign saying that you did collect data, and they'll pull it.
Oh.
Yeah, Cycle Camp is in the chat. He's a friend of mine, local here in Connecticut. He was up in Maine for the eclipse, and he did a bunch of he's right there in the comment. He did a bunch of FT8 and uploaded that, so it'll be interesting to see what those results are once they get it aggregated.
At work, I was flipping between some YouTube stuff, NOAA, and then I was going to PSK Reporter. And then I was playing, and because I don't do FT8, but it was really fun I set the timing to every 15 minutes, and I was changing the modes. And then I was refreshing because I really wanted to see, but it just seemed like the activity, there was a ton of guys out there still having fun. And so to me, sometimes I guess maybe I really wasn't understanding what I was looking at, except that stations were there and making contacts. And obviously the sideband stuff is a lot less. Maybe that's because that's how it grabs it. I don't know. But from the digital stuff, it seems like a lot of guys were doing a lot of digital, modes even prior to, as it was working its way from Texas, coming up. So It was very cool to watch.
We should have done that, Eric. We didn't even think of that. We weren't even talking digital.
I can barely manage all of the live stream equipment and our radio. You want me to do digital? Okay, next year.
What do you mean? Eric's the reason why I was able to collect data.
I know, true. Yeah, you should tell that story.
So yeah, all right. So I wanted to collect data, whisper data for the Gladstone, right? And I had set up AnyDesk on my computer here so that I could remote in and turn WSJTX on. But then I went to go check in on AnyDesk, and well, it wasn't actually signed in on this computer, and I was already in Pittsburgh. So I text Eric and I said, hey, would you mind going to my house? The door's open. Can you just, get AnyDesk running for me so that I can get WSJTX going?
Break into my house so I can get radio.
We rolled a truck, and therefore we dispatched quickly.
Todd, I'm thinking about the guy who sat down next to you. If you had a geochron next to you, you really would have blew him away. He probably would have been passed out. He would have fainted on you or something, or something like that. Or PSK reporter going, and you would have said, "That's us," and this. You could have told him anything, and he would have been like, "Oh my god."
Well, we had. There's actually a few people that like walked by and asked what we were doing, and were interested, but they didn't stay. This guy, he dropped his chair down, and he was like, "I'm in for the go. Let's do this."
He thought you were somebody official, man. That's cool. You were, like I said before, you were his rock star.
Yeah. I mean, we had two antennas, on either side of us. We had a radio going and or we didn't have headphones, but we had all the cameras going up and stuff. So it was, it looked like if you didn't know what we were doing, you'd be like, what are these guys doing? Like, what are they testing?
Well, my normal POTA scenarios are like, oh, are you studying bird migrations, or are you studying aliens? This time was like, oh, are you taking Eclipse samples? I'm like, do I answer that sarcastically, or do I just say, no, I'm doing radio here?
Energy from the sun.
I'm sampling the sun.
Do you guys ever, speaking of that, Eric, isn't it funny because people who approach me, and I always want to be a good ambassador. I really do. Because you never know, as well as I don't want to be that guy who snaps on them and be that angry guy. And that's just not who I am by nature. Okay. But some people you can kind of tell based upon the questions or how they're like watching you from afar. And is it the guy who comes up to you, or is it the lady who's walking the dog? So you kind of get a sense. And based on the question, I will say that. Yes, I'm monitoring the birds, or I'll just be honest. I'll say, listen, have you ever heard of shortwave? Well, this is called amateur radio. But every once in a while, I get that little funny bone in me going. I'm like, no, I'm over here down by the river next to the Atlantic Ocean, Long Island Sound, and we're monitoring the great white sharks at this time, migration, possibly going up to the Connecticut River. And we know that the Connecticut River goes all the way up through here and through many states into Canada. And it was reported last year that a great white was spotted. And, and sometimes I'll joke, but then I'll always say, no, I'm playing with. But some people, man, I just want to mess with them, but I don't know. I can't. I can't go full throttle like that. But I'm tempted. Sometimes I'm just so tempted. Just
Todd, what mode were you running at the park?
Mostly sideband.
Yeah, we were on sideband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were doing 40 and 20. We were kind of curious to see what 40 would look like. And the biggest thing that happened with us is 20 just died. Like we were like boom, and we were getting everyone, and all of a sudden it just like flatlined. Like it wasn't even run. Like it was like someone pulled the cord out. So we switched it. We set up
somebody unplugged 40, basically, was what happened.
What'd you say?
Somebody unplugged 40.
Yeah. So we set up the two. We set up the two antennas, one for 20, one for 40, and then we just switched and went back and forth. But we weren't sure what was going to happen, so we figured, 40 is typically the night band. So if it was going to get night, and actually 40 was kind of weird. It was going, and then it kind of died out, and it was like sporadic. It would like come in like really good, and then like we'd have a pile up, and then we'd work one station, and then there was no one there. We're like, where'd they all go? Then we do it again, and then we get a little bit of a pile up, and then they disappear. But we started 20, went to 40, and then after the eclipse, like halfway through on the backside, we switched back to 20. So, but we were there for how long did we activate for? Like 3 hours?
3.5, about 3.5. Yeah.
And we only got like 41 contacts. So for us, it wasn't like, oh, this was a great POTA day.
So guys, was this your simple POTA? Was this your everyday POTA antenna?
Yeah.
So end-fed half waves, or I don't know if you're using cobwebs or some other type of exotic
No,
stuff.
I had the what did you have? You had your
I had my center loaded Wolfer recoil on 20, and Todd was running his Buddy Pole Pro.
There you go. Yeah.
And just 100 watts. We used our DX. We used Eric's DX10. You know, we're either using that or a 891. So figured we'd want to see the waterfall, so we used the bigger radio. But you know, it was a great time. I mean, I'm glad we did it. It was fun. We got lunch before and hang out there, and you know, it was nice weather. We weren't getting rained on. It just the mosquitoes were just like. I was like, what? I mean, it was bad. I've never seen it go from no bugs, everything was great, to like an infestation of them. It was like someone just dumped a bunch of mosquitoes.
You ever see those YouTube videos where they have in India where there's like houses surrounded like a giant spiders everywhere? Nobody, like everybody walks. It was literally like that. It was like they all just kind of moved in, and we were like, I can't see myself. It's so bad because if mosquitoes are constantly flying in your face, it's like this is. Just
I don't know about you guys. I carry a fan. I invested into one of these 18-inch portable fans that runs on a battery, and you just recharge it. And you can variable speeds. I do that because not only do I want just a slight breeze, just to kind of, and trust me, I don't use the sun. I either have an umbrella over me or some type of contraption with a tarp or something. But I'm the guy who says I'm going to screw up their avionic wings going, and it does. It just messes with them. They don't like that. But I think if I had gone out, I probably would have forgot about that because that's still kind of packed away. I'm moving stuff around, but I would have forgotten about that, you know, for this previous weekend or last Tuesday rather. I would have forgotten it, saying, you know, some of the stuff that I normally would have needed. You know, those bugs are.
I mean, why would we think we needed mosquitoes in April after a snowstorm and it just got warm? Like we weren't expecting that at all. I mean, they were talking up here. They're like, oh, you could see some change in animals might come out. So I'm thinking, oh, the bobcat's going to come out through the woods and attack us. You know,
which would have made great, you know, live stream TV. But
awesome. The bobcat was getting eaten by the mosquitoes. He's like, the hell are you guys?
Yeah,
it would have been a Family Guy episode all over again. You know.
Exactly.
Somebody getting tortured or mauled by a drag, you know, some ridiculous, you know, animal that we've never seen in our time, like a black bear decides to come out or something. I don't know.
The peepers came out too. Like you guys have peepers down there, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
they came out too, and they were chirping away like there was no tomorrow. And it was definitely made an environmental and with nature, it definitely had an impact. You know, that's no doubt. And like I said, it's hard to tell. I mean, we're not like. Eric and I weren't really doing super scientific stuff. We were just kind of messing around and seeing what would happen. But, you know, I think the bands definitely were affected. And like I said, for that one period when 20 we were just almost in like a mini pileup and it just died, like completely just dead. I was like, what? Like, where'd they all go?
I think the reverse to that, anybody ever have like, we all have had those moments where, like we'll do like a pile up and then it will kind of get quiet. And then you have to kind of restart the cycle a little bit and let the, you know, get the greases, the gears greased a little bit. This literally, like, we would get a pile up, it would go dead. I could grab War and Peace and read the whole entire book end to end, all in one transmission, and still hear nobody come back. And then all of a sudden, we'll hear like a side adjacent signal of like some station that was probably putting out a, you know, kilowatt or a kilowatt and a half. And then all of a sudden, we'll get like 3 or 4 stations that like sound like they're in our backyard. So, you know, it was just.
I just started talking on the radio because there was no one there. I just started having conversation with Eric and keep throwing my call sign. I said, "Hey, if the signals are going out, maybe someone will guess."
God. No, did you guys hear? I had overheard it several times over the radio during the day that it was expected that 40 meters was going to remain open after the eclipse had ended. Due to the eclipse's effect on the ionosphere,
that's what I heard too. That's why I wanted to do 40.
Yeah, but so I switched to 40 for totality, and then I stayed on 40, and then probably 20 to 30 minutes after totality was over, 40 just died. It was gone.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that, you know, some of the guys in our club that have been around a lot longer than us said that what should have happened or what they thought was going to happen is 40 would start coming up, and then it was going to slowly die down. And then they said it may not ever go away because then we'd be getting back into the, the evening,
Right.
So they figured it was going to be like 40 was going to be open, from totality through the night. But like what we had, it kind of died too. So it did work, and then it died. So it didn't, if it faded out, it didn't fade out as long as, it faded out quicker than what I think most people were expecting.
Now, when you guys say 40 died, like I kind of know, like based on the hammers map on the pins, like for me in Connecticut, if I could draw a line, PA, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, the Ontario guys are hard. Newfoundland guys are really hard right now for me on 40 sometimes. Back when the cycle was before, or 24 on the down and flat, it was like no problem. Did you guys notice that circle of stations that you would normally speak to or geographically had shrunk?
Yeah, we had all, like, basically on 40. I think Eric and I hit nothing but New England. I think we got maybe a Pennsylvania and New Jersey, maybe, but most of it was, and maybe we got a New York, but most of it was Mass, Maine, New Hampshire. I mean, we got someone. Who did we get, Eric? That was right down the road from us. Someone in our club.
Tom. AC1.
Tom. Yeah, and he was like, I mean, he's probably like 5 miles away, 10 miles away, not even, and it was crazy because normally, you don't get that. So
So it's almost like Mother Nature had to do like a reset. Listening to you guys, it's almost like she had to do this reset, or the solar cycle just again because of the phenomenon. Now it had to go into this reset. So all of our expectations, it is what it is, right? We can't control it, but I would have bet. You're right. I would have bet money 40 would have just continued to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at the log. I was just doing a quick count. We only had 18 contacts in 40. Did you know that? All the rest of them were 20.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is crazy. Out of 41, 20 was our best performing band even before and after the total eclipse. So it was like kind of just.
Well, we weren't on 40 that long, and how long were we on it for? Because remember, it just died.
Almost. We were on it till 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We were on it for 45 minutes. We thought that was going to be the peak and things were going to go crazy. And for 45 minutes, it was just like starving. I mean, we were starving.
Was that before or after the eclipse?
That was right in the totality, like just a little bit before. So when did 20 die on it? Like 20, by looking at the logs here, 20 died. Yeah, about 30, 40, almost 40 minutes in. So we started, when did we start? Like we started right around 2:00, I think. So about 2:40, things started to die on 20. And so we jumped into 40, and from 2:45 till about 3:15, 3:20, we were on 40. And then we said, we got to go back to 20 because at that point it was just, it was hard to make contacts.
But even earlier in the day, I was trying to work 40 from the POTA park I was at, and I wasn't having much luck on 40 around, I don't know, was it like 11 o'clock or so? It was kind of dead, which I guess is kind of normal for 40 anyway. But
right now it is. Yes, you're absolutely right.
But I ended up switching to 20, and even that was, was okay. But, not as lively as what I would normally get, but it was a Monday, that kind of a thing too. So you got to keep that in mind.
Did you guys try like 17, 15, 12, 10? Did you go
I tried 15 first. But I made I made one contact on 15. But that was pretty dead. So then I went to 40, didn't have a lot of luck there, made 5, 6, 7 contacts, and then went to 20 and made, 20 or 30 contacts there.
Yeah, I got most of my contacts on 40. I got like 67 contacts on 40, and the remainder were on 15. I had issues with my radio with 20 meters, but couldn't play on that.
Oh,
no, 20 DX
we got you
opened way up after the eclipse.
Yeah.
Really?
Matt, you were on, when we worked we were on 40 then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
7.227. I think you guys came to me. You were down below me and then went up.
Yeah.
I think that's what Eric said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Paul, with that being said, I'm just trying to think of the gray line. Help me out. That's around 3:30ish, 4 o'clock our time. So that
Yeah,
puts the
it was
gray line.
About 4:30 p.m.
Okay, 4:30. So that puts the gray line in England around 10:30 in the evening, maybe. No, yeah. I'm just trying to do this off the top of my head of how the based upon we're what 6 hours behind, 5 hours behind, how the gray line. So that's interesting. How all of a sudden, that just opens up like crazy.
At like just about 5 o'clock, there was a station in India on single sideband on 20 meters, and he was not super amped. He was barely able to make me out. But I mean, I was running 100 watts into an end-fed half wave. So like to go from Pittsburgh, New Hampshire to the middle of India.
Dude, that's awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I packed up by 4 o'clock, so I didn't really operate too much after the eclipse, but that's interesting.
I noticed when I was coming home, I got on the radio and I talked to Tom AC1J. He's one of the guys in our club, and he's the one that we worked, and he was so close. But I noticed that the 2 meters on our repeater was kind of not normal for where I was. Like, it was a little scattery. It wasn't as strong. And then as I got the baseball stuff and started on, the repeater was like back on. So I don't know if that had anything to do with what was going on in the atmosphere, but typically our repeater where I wasn't that scratchy, and I was kind of getting in and out, like the signal was coming in strong, dropping off, coming in strong. And normally when I'm on that road, it's just normally strong. So I don't know if that was something going on. It might have been the wind blowing the antenna, but I was just curious if like the 2 meter band had anything to if that was affecting it or not. And that was after the total. That was like after we were done.
Yeah, I was really kind of
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was kind of really bummed out. I thought we were gonna see more DX contacts out of this whole thing, and be getting anything usually over the pond on a regular day for me in that same spot is booming in. But yeah, we was totally dead to the east of us for when we were running.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be like. Like over the summer, I worked third shift. I actually have to work tonight, so I got to leave soon. But but I use my Flex, and I get on my iPad and I connect to my Flex at home, and like I was hitting on 20 meters. I was hitting New Zealand and Australia for like the whole summer every night. I was talking to the same guys, different guys, like all the time. I talked to one guy. We had a QSO. He was 20 meters. He was 100 watts with a vertical, and I was with my my dipole, and I was like, "That's awesome!" 20 meters that far is like 10,800 miles. So I was expecting, like with this eclipse, like it was going to do some funky stuff, and we were going to be getting like out that way, but we couldn't get out of like the East Coast. Really, I mean, we were like, "What?"
One contact to Denmark during my POTA activation.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
weird.
we didn't hear anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just like Izzo was saying before, I was working, east of the Mississippi mostly on 20. Okay. And then this guy from Denmark comes in the middle of it. So that was a little weird. But
do you guys think we had these expectations that the atmosphere was going to be so supercharged that our RF was going to just run? Because like I said, I would have lost a bet. I would have thought, because I actually had gear in my truck, because I get out at 4 o'clock, and I have a park right around the corner from where I work, and I know exactly I can make it there in 4 minutes. I know I can get set up in less than 10 minutes. Remember before we were talking off stream, and I'm like, I don't care. I'll be post eclipse just to see what's the fallout, or I should say the fallout, but the post eclipse activity. And I just decided not to. Well, I drove by the park, and the place was packed. There was just no way I could even get into this place. But I had this grandeur in my head of saying, that's it. I'm going to work all these exotic Asia. I want to be able to work Asia and that whole South Pacific at 5 o'clock in the evening, and instead of 5 o'clock in the morning. But I'm not sure if anyone else felt that same way.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was going to be like a phenomenal POTA activation. We're going to be out there and getting all kinds of crazy. I mean, when Eric and I did our rove along the seacoast, we we hit Europe more than anything. Like it was just like every time 10 meters we did for how long we do it, like most of it, right? Almost
pretty much up to
and
the
it
second
was like
last part.
it was Europe all day long. Like that was all we were getting. And like so we were like, well, are we gonna get anyone else besides like it was getting kind of like, oh, it's just Europe again. But you know, I thought we were gonna get some crazy contacts. Like I thought we were going to be around the world. I thought, you know, maybe the Middle East, you know, things that aren't as popular.
Absolutely. Right.
And I don't know, maybe the rest of the world wasn't really paying attention to the eclipse. I thought there might have been extra hams out there, like getting on, like, oh, this eclipse is coming through. Let's see what's going to happen and see if we can get those guys in the eclipse or, you know, whatever. But I mean, look, Eric and I had fun. I like working. I like going out with POTA. It's always fun to go out with like a couple of us or two of us. And Eric and I are working on this one park to get our kilo. So we're trying to do it together to stay even. So we've been working on that. But it was fun and it was a nice day. And like I said, except for the mosquitoes at the end, I mean, you couldn't ask. I mean, it was a little slow, but you know, we got to hang out a little bit. So it wasn't.
How close are you to the kilo?
Oh, not very. We, you know, since the last time we talked about it, that was our first activation on it.
Oh,
but no. So we're at about. I'm at like 763. He's at like 745. So we're we're not that far off, but we're slowing down though.
You know, what happened with me is I switched jobs. I went to a different office and I didn't have a lot going on. So I'd go out like every lunch and I just go activate it, you know, and sometimes I get like 60. I can drive to that park, set up, activate, and shut down and be back in the office within an hour, right? And sometimes I'd get these huge pileups and, you know, I'd be pissed I'd have to leave because I had to get back to work. But so it was just going good. And then I got busy at work and it's hard for me to snag an hour.
Don't say last call. Don't say last call because what have we learned?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I have a reverse effect on that. Like literally anytime, and I have it on video to prove it. Every time I say last call, when I did my trip down to South Carolina, every park I went to, I did last call. Everything went dead. Nobody answered after me. It's like, what did I do to you guys? I'm giving you an opportunity to make contact with you, and you don't want to talk to me. So,
see, I always tell Eric he needs to bring his daughter with him because he has the worst luck calling CQ. Like he calls CQ, nothing happens, right? He gives the mic to me, I call it. Oh, we get a little pile up. He goes, gee, like what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. But you know, when you do get, but now when I get with Eric, you know, now it's like sometimes we get off banter because someone recognizes him from his YouTube channel. Like, oh, Eric, I love you. And then they have to have a little chat about. I'm like, oh, the famous guy's with me.
Come on, we're wasting time here.
We got things to do.
It happens.
Tired of dragging you with me, Todd. Come on, let's go.
We're gonna need a security team to start keeping people away from Eric when he's operating. Now back off.
Especially you keep attracting those people that come to our live streams, Todd.
Yeah.
We appreciate those people. We're glad they recognize us.
I couldn't hear Eric when he was trying to call me. I even replayed the GoPro video that my daughter made, and I didn't hear anything before, but I heard your call coming right through clear. Yeah. I don't know.
Dogs were barking. They heard my voice. What are you talking about?
The sun was extra radiant that time.
Well, so we don't go too far over the hour. Let's go like around the table and see what everybody's kind of highlight of the eclipse was, and what you're looking forward to doing in the future with radio and experiencing ionospheric changes. So we'll start with Eric. You're in the top corner. So
well, I have to say, you know, just the fact that everything went well, like live streaming and playing radio was great. The 20, you know, setting up was kind of just like, it felt like it was a regular POTA day. And then until we got to totality, that it kind of just like really just flipped itself, you know, flipped the tables, they say. And so I really didn't like learn anything in terms of like, you know, anything scientific around it. But I obviously realized that, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's a total eclipse or just an average day of POTA, it's still POTA, and it was still fun to do. So, you know, that would be my big takeaway.
There you go. How about you, Todd?
All right, I got to give a shout out to Julia. She's going nuts on the chat. So that's one of my daughter's friends. She lives at my house pretty much all the time. So hi, Julia. Hope you're having fun watching this. And if you want to do ham radio, you know where I'm at.
Downstairs.
Yeah. Just come on in. No, she's not here today. Anyway, Yeah, I think I like it. I hadn't done POTA in a while. It had probably been like a month, so I was itching to get out there, and it was just fun to be out there and you know just hanging out and doing more activations. I really want. I'm really been wanting to get this res antenna. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or seen it, but I just keep thinking like that's a nice antenna. So
dude,
I'm,
I've got a trade off for you. I got a trade off for you. Well, there's another one coming up, but you have to wait. I have to wait for it to come from Australia. But anyway, we'll talk later about that.
All right, but in the future, I have I'm kind of bummed. I have to get. I lost one of Eric's weights, the last weight he had for his gun. I got to get my antenna back up, so half of it is down. And then I tried a slingshot, and that didn't work. So I've had really bad luck trying to get. I get the thing up there, but the weight wasn't heavy enough. I'd get a bigger weight. It was not. I couldn't shoot it high enough because it was too heavy. So it's just been a mess. So I want to get my antenna up. I got a DX Commander that's sitting in a box that I got to get up. So I have a lot of ham radio stuff to do to projects, I guess. So that's what I'm looking for in the future. But my favorite thing, though, I'm like with you, Izzo. I would give up my shack if I just could do portable, all day long. Like every day, all day long. I would rather be mobile and portable than. Like if I knew what I knew now, I would have invested in mobile first or portable first, then build the shack.
Oh my God! Holy crap! I agree that after 30 some odd years now and still counting and still heck yes.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. So I'm hoping to do more POTA, and like I said, I'm always looking for trips. Like if work slowed down, we don't have any more kids around the country, so all my flying trips have gone away, and I'm kind of bummed because that was fun because I'd go see a kid for 10 minutes and I'd have all day to play POTA and get paid for it. So that's like my dream. Like pay me to do POTA.
Exactly.
Now, Don, I know you didn't get to play radio per se during the Eclipse, but what's your highlights of the Eclipse, and what do you got looking forward to?
So like I mentioned earlier, it's weird when you have to work, but you still kind of make the fun out of it based upon what you can do, right? And I figured I can't be the only guy who's stuck inside at work or home or whatever, and who can't experience the RF side of it. But it was fun, like I said, for me to fool around with the PSK. I was watching Jason Ham Radio 2.0. I had Noah up. Plus I had a whole bunch of stuff going on anyway of screenshots that I had done just to see where we are at work. I will tell you, we're a very, very busy 911 center in the state of Connecticut. And when things started going down, when it started really at the 50% maybe level, our phones got quiet. So that meant that's a good thing, because when the phones are not ringing, that means we're not generating a vast majority of bad activity. And I like that. I like it when the world could just calm down, everybody, and just be good. Just be good for a while, right? I don't want to have to put you in timeout. Or I'm gonna have to send an officer over there to put you in timeout, one way or another. But like I said, when I got out of work, should I have just gone find, like I have parks literally around my house, 5 minutes either way. I don't know. It just got late, but I get crazy. For instance, so it was fun to watch. I'm having a ball here tonight learning about what you guys did do, and just still kind of continue to learn propagation. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm taking away from this, because from a guy who came into this hobby back in the late 80s, early 90s, everything for me was VHF and UHF and a lot of simplex. And then there was how our lives change. My life changed a little bit with marriages, divorce, etc. And then like my ham radio activity dropped, and I was the guy who I didn't know what I was going to do. I had all this equipment, I had a brand new ICOM 7300 just sitting there gathering dust, and that's a sin. That's excuse me.
5 Hail Marys and 4 or 5 99s.
Oh, I did my penance. Well, listen, Todd's the next guy. He better get that DX Commander built, because the longer it stays in the box, the sins of Lord Cal.
Yeah, he's still got a lot more to go before ever gets his up.
You will Todd. My DX Commander has been up now for almost 4 years now. And a guy who doesn't play a lot from that antenna, but I finally ran a coax switch, so when I'm sitting out here in the backyard, I do use it. It's man,
Love
that
it.
is an incredible antenna. And then you can switch back from your wire end-fed half wave sloper and kind of listen and play again, learning more. So but like from here, where do I go from here? I just want decent weather. Although on Friday I was out in the rain playing POTA and I didn't care. I said I don't care. I had on my rain pants, I had my rain gear. I know exactly how fast I can get set up and this and that. And I said I'm playing radio and I don't care. I don't care. So
if it ain't raining, you ain't training.
That's right. And I don't care if it's raining because if I'm either going to operate from the pavilion or inside my truck. No. What's the difference? Go have fun, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
What about you, Rob?
So as far as the Eclipse Day goes, we had a blast with the family. It was fun to hang out with my son, for a couple days. My sister and brother-in-law are both hams, so they were into it. We had a POTA activation in the morning, and then
nice.
At her place in the afternoon for the Eclipse, we just had a lot of family there, and it was just a good day. So for me, it was more of a family day than it was a radio day, but we had radio there, so it was kind of the best of both worlds, really. I wish we could do that every day, really.
Yes.
Yeah, and as far as anything upcoming goes, I never know what I'm doing from day to day. All I know is I'm going to work and doing that. But as far as radio goes, I got a few things kicking around here, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't know if I'll get to them or not. But
you don't want to curse it.
We don't want to call you Todd. We don't want to call you Todd.
Yeah, right. I got some antenna projects I want to do. I've got POTA I want to do. I've got who knows, but I got all this crap behind me that needs attention. But who knows if any of it'll happen. But so that's it for me.
All right. Well, we won't hold you to anything.
Yeah, there you go.
What about you, Matt? What's your highlights and coming up?
Oh, highlights spending time with my daughter. That was the best. Taking her out of school and showing her about the eclipse and saying, "Hey, see those sunspots there? There's the one that caused that X flare a few weeks back. It spun around, and it made me laugh when she went out there with the glasses and she goes, "I see something," and it was a little sliver getting covered. So that made my day. So, and she likes to talk to people, a little shy, as you guys saw in the video, and I was watching some of her many minutes of the GoPro she was filming, and she had her own little skit that she was doing on the side, so it was kind of funny. But no, that was it. Spending time with my daughter, enjoying ham radio, getting out there in nature, just enjoying it, and the eclipse was just an added bonus. Also, with the future, I just want to start getting into hiking, but then my ankle thought, "Hey, I'm gonna have an issue with you," so I gave up on that. But I felt good hiking in there. We hiked in like about a mile and a half to get to where we were filming, so it was a nice little flat plateau away from people. So I want to hike in, start doing more radio and filming that, because I like to hike into the woods, see how the trees change propagation of the antenna, and test out a few other antennas and do some theories on end-fed half wave, a couple videos on that. That's the plan for the future.
Hey,
awesome.
dude,
Nice.
did you see the comment? You're international now. Your antenna's been in Japan.
Oh,
Japan,
wow.
Look at that.
That's awesome. Yeah, the
That's
tiny
awesome.
antenna. I love that thing.
Sweet. Nice.
Excellent.
Got them
Cool.
right here. Just building them up.
Nice.
What about you, Marvin?
I've got a lot of things coming up on the channel, the different things. But on personal projects, I've got the antenna tower I need to get up. I've got a Gap Titan. It's the Gap Titan antenna. It's a vertical. I want to be able to put in my backyard this summer here in Massachusetts. I've got right behind me a whole station I need to finish getting some wood and shelving built to get the meters and all the other radios and monitors up where they need to be back behind me. So I've got a ton of projects to get done overall. But, one thing I'm really looking forward to come out of all this whole Eclipse thing is really the report coming back from Hamsci, and to see what they really feed back to us and how that will come to affect maybe the one coming up in 2040, whatever it was, 2043. So we'll see how that really comes out, and then how this propagation of stuff worked. And really, I mean, we are covering the northeast section here. but how does it really affect the rest of the country across the board too? So I'm looking to hope they'll do a pretty in-depth report and really want to read through that a little bit more. I think I do find it pretty interesting overall. So even though I didn't get to really take much part in it, I do find it pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, a lot of projects for the summer on board here. So
yeah, I think we should start planning a 2043 trip down south so we can just do this all over again.
Well, I'll be retired by then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what else am I going to be doing? I might even be living down there. So you guys are more than welcome to come hang out.
Why don't we just rent? Why don't we rent like 2 or 3 RVs? That's it.
Yeah.
Let's, you know what I mean? It's only money. It's only money.
Yeah, right.
It's only money.
More.
That's what I'll tell my wife.
Yeah.
All right, Paul in Vermont. What's your Eclipse highlights, and what do you got coming up?
I enjoyed watching the Eclipse there just from work, and still being able to do what I was doing. I was worried they were going to put me on the road. I do deliveries of truck parts around the state of Vermont, and I was talking to my boss, and we were talking about the traffic and stuff, and how some of these places are just going to close up. And he goes, "Well, just stay in on Monday. We'll send you out and do that route on Tuesday, because Tuesday I'm usually inside. I work at a Mack truck dealership," and that worked out great because, like I said, the Eclipse started, and I just took a couple of steps sideways, and I was able to look out at it, and then go back in and do some more work. And then when I hit totality, I just stared at it like everybody else. So that was fun. And then today, I put a FT8 on 10 meters here in the shack, and I worked 4 new countries, and they were all in darkness. East of Malaysia and Thailand, and I forget the other 2, but that was fun. East of Malaysia is already confirmed on Logbook of the World, but that was fun working 4 new countries on 10 meters. And I think I might have got a new zone. I heard the JT alert go new zone, and I think I worked that one, and so that'll be good. I'm trying to get 5-band worked all zones, but I'm still 17 short of the 200. So but I don't know if I'll get that by the time I die, but I'm trying. Especially 80 meters. 80 meters is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's not over until you can't play radio anymore.
Right. Yeah, like I got one today. So,
well, for myself, I think the biggest highlight of the whole weekend was the experience with my son. We went on some hikes, and listen, 13's a tough age for a boy. He doesn't like me most days. So it was
I don't
nice.
like me most these days, but anyway.
It was it was really nice. I brought up the new muzzle loader, the flintlock muzzle loader that I built with him. We get to fire that off for the first time. I did a custom build AR. He was excited to shoot that for the first time. So other than all the Eclipse data that he gathered and all the fun that we had, just the time that we get to spend together was great. Looking forward to this upcoming week. On Thursday, I leave for Florida. We're going to drive down to Virginia. We're going to stop and spend all day Friday in DC. I'm going to take my son to all the monuments, memorials, and show him that stuff. And then put Chickateague Island on the air in Virginia. That's the little island with all the horses.
There's horse flies. Tons of horse flies.
Yeah. and snakes. So I hear. But yeah, so be on the lookout for me activating some new states as I go down to Florida and do some POTA.
We'll put you on ham alert.
I was just gonna say,
well, don't
forget
look
at his new call sign. Yep.
Use the new call sign. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got to change that on you. I have you on the old one, so the original gangster now is out and about.
KF4 TPY is no more.
We put him to pasture.
I have a question for Izzo and Rob. Are either one of you close enough to be in the Bristol or the Insurance City Radio Club?
yes.
No, but I know some people in it. You probably do too, Don, right?
I can hit. Believe it or not, I can hit the repeaters literally, unless the repeaters have changed. I think I can hit them from my house as well as just mobile and as I go to work and everything. So
Okay. Are you a member of the club?
no,
I'm not.
No. Okay. It's a weird reason why I cleaned out a radio. I cleaned out a radio estate. I didn't clean them out. Like I bought some stuff from a radio estate up here, and the guy who passed away was in the Bristol Radio Club, and I found a reel-to-reel tape of a club meeting that was recorded in 1979, and I've contacted the club to tell them I have it. And
oh, that's cool.
Told them I might meet him at Nearfest.
What's the call sign of the?
What's the call sign?
It was that's I happened to grab a tape recorder that I found, and I said, well, here's a couple of tapes. I'm going to grab a couple of tapes. One of them was blank, and one of them had a meeting on it from 1979.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
And I listened to the whole.
That's history. Not only is the media history, but the club recording itself is.
Yes,
history.
and they were very stressed out. They had property. The club owned property and a building, and I think the building was their ham shack, and nobody lives there, so it had a problem with vandalism, theft once in a while, and finally a fire. And they were stressing out over whether to sell it now or sell it later.
The great debate of all our club meetings.
There was like 15 people in this guy's house, and there was a couple of letters that were read. And this was typical ham radio operators. Everybody had an opinion. And they were all very polite. They were all very polite to each other.
They all said it depends.
Those guys got me into a 220. When 220 here in Connecticut was, I don't know if I was on the downswing. A buddy of mine gave me a set of duplexers. I bought a repeater, and I was playing around with a 220 repeater.
Yeah,
and they were my inspiration to fool around with 220 and learn how that works. And I miss it.
Yeah, I looked up everybody that was on the roll call. They called roll call, and I looked them up on QRZ. They're either passed away or living in Florida or both. There was one guy. I think there was one guy still. I think there was one guy still alive and in Bristol, and I think I emailed him. I don't think I heard back from him. But
if his name is Larry, but Paul, if there's anything that I can do, I'm good on QRZ. Just shoot me an email if there's anything that I can do for you.
There you go.
Sweet.
Well, I gotta say, it has been a pleasure to host this live stream and to be your master of ceremonies. Eric, if you want to wrap it up and tell everybody when we'll be on next and all that stuff.
Sounds good. Well, ultimately, we will be next month for New England, Northeast Ham Radio. So stay tuned to all of our channels. We'll spread the love. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed to all the guys, all of their links are in the show chat there. And, if you haven't subscribed to any of us, please do, show the love. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. We had 22, or actually 26 at one time. So keep it coming and love all the feedback too. So
who's going to Nearfest?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll probably go do a live stream from there if I can, but I don't know.
Are you going to be there Friday or Saturday? I mean, Thursday or Friday.
Whoa, not Saturday.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday. I saw how they switched.
That's why I said I corrected myself. Thursday, Friday. So
probably Thursday, but I don't know.
Thursday as well. I hope I'll see you there then. Hopefully.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll cross paths, I'm sure. So awesome.
I have a setup near the entertainment building.
Oh yes, right. Oh yeah, I did see your post on the jam band. Got it. Yeah.
Oh, you saw that? Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, they don't do the jam in that building anymore. You have to walk all the way down the hill. Go to the jam.
Bummer.
It used to be a close walk.
Nice. I did forget to mention, because I didn't think we were doing channel go rounds, but I finally hit a 1K. So I'm doing a live stream probably next week. So I want all you guys on. We're just going to big hangout. So feel free to stop in, drop by. We're giving away a bunch of Reliance antennas, a bunch of swag, a whole bunch of other great stuff. It's like Oprah says, you get one, you get one, you get one.
I signed up for a reminder already, I think.
We're going to give this away. This is the Izzo
shirt.
Yes.
This is the official Izzo shirt.
I got to sign that. I got to sign that for you guys.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, sign one.
Yep. It might be worth $1 more than what it's actually worth. So.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, this shirt was I think I got a triple XL. It's more like a medium. So I had to go with the 5XL. So if you're getting this one, go big.
Chinese sizes, my God.
Yeah. I was like, this thing doesn't even I was like, here, I give it to my 11-year-old. There, you want to wear this? But yeah,
And,
we'll be giving that one away too.
And just
Julia,
a little.
why don't you give it to Julia? Excuse me, Eric. Give it to Julia. She's been all over the chat. Just give it to Julia.
Give it to Julia. All right. I'll give it to Julia from Izzo.
So we got a little sneak peek. If you guys if you guys have worked KL7EC, you guys all know him, Mr. Alaska POTA guy, Jeremy. Ever see his channel? He'll be on live stream with us tomorrow with the Live Free and Ham crew. So come check that out and say hello to him. So we're excited to have him on. He's going to be talking all of his latest fly-in POTA adventures that we're pretty psyched to talk to him.
What time?
That'll be 8 Eastern time since he's in Alaska. Yeah.
Okay.
So
he has an incredible channel. His channel and his bros up there are incredible. Talking about making your imagination go, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? I want to live through these guys. Absolutely.
Very, very much so. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it for us here. Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate you seeing you, Izzo. And, you're, like I said, you're always more than welcome. And, we would love to have you on, and we'll keep plugging away. And we're enjoying, Northeast Ham Radio, and hopefully you guys are as well. And, stay tuned. We're going to be doing some fun stuff going forward. I think Todd's got a couple of things planned. So we'd love to have everybody kind of come and hang out, but we'll keep that under wraps for right now. So,
okay. Good show.
Cool. All right, guys.
Coming back.
Guys.
Have a good night.
73.
73, everyone.
73.
Bye, guys.